Hey everybody, my name is Brandon from thestockstudents.com, and today I want to talk about Palantir stock, ticker symbol PLTR. What I want to do first is I want to go into Google and try and explain why I think Palantir stock has risen over 25% in a single day on Friday. And then I want to go into the earnings report and talk about how Palantir is doing as a business. And then I want to go into the trading charts to try and find a level or two to buy Palantir stock if we want to buy Palantir stock. So now let's get started. So before we get started, I just want to let you guys know that I created a Discord server. So if you guys want to make friends, interact with our community here, and talk to me, then you can just click the link down below in the description and it'll take you over to our Discord server. So now let's get started with Palantir. So here we are in Google, and as you can see here, in a single day we are up over 25%. So, as always, when you see moves like this in a stock, the question is always why. So I think there are a couple of reasons for this actually, and one of the main reasons why I think Palantir is climbing to the moon right now is because there's currently a flood of retail investors that is following ARK Invest and Cathie Woods around to bid up the stock, and also to ruin the short sellers. To me, trying to bet against this wave of momentum is like standing in front of a tsunami wave and expecting to stay standing. Just ask the GameStop shorts how that story ends. Another reason that I think is causing this excitement around the stock is because of Palantir's demo day. So, Palantir's upcoming demo day could be creating more excitement for the stock as investors hope to see an impact to the stock price similar to the impact of NIO's stock price on NIO Day. Excitement in the stock could definitely contribute to some more upside gain, before and shortly after Palantir's day. We do have backers like ARK Invests, so even if we do slip a little bit, we may have a floor under the stock, but that is not for certain. You have to consider that there are huge volatility risks right now before investing in Palantir, and you should expect to stomach large swings from the downside to the upside in the short term. So, how about we scroll down here and check out the news that is surrounding Palantir stock right now. And over here, there's a lot of articles that is talking about Palantir's customers. Now, I won't talk about any article specifically, but as an investor, you should be aware that Palantir has many contracts with the United States government, and these contracts are often very reliable and very lucrative. As a side note, if you are a political individual, you may want to do research on Palantir's government and private contracts before investing. This is not a political show, so I'm not going to go into any of that, but the business can be controversial, and you may like it very much or you may not like it very much. But the main point I want to make here is that you should always be aware of exactly what you are investing in. The government contracts is one of the reasons why Palantir is an interesting company to invest in, but another reason is because they are trying to acquire more customers that are outside of the government. It is this combination of a strong customer base, which is the United States government, with the growth prospect of company customers that could incentivize investors to bid the stock higher. The next thing I want to talk about here is this article by the Motley Fool about Palantir's lockup expiry. Basically, a lockup expiry is a date where company insiders can begin selling shares. Before a company goes public, there are often agreements made and important things signed that prevents these insiders, who often have boatloads of shares, to prevent them from selling any shares until this lockup expires. Once this lockup expires, all of these individuals have now the ability to release and sell their boatloads of shares. This has a potential to flood the market with new shares, and Economics 101 states that when there's an oversupply of something, then the price of that something sometimes goes down. I do want to make clear that this is not a guarantee that insiders will release their shares. This is just the date where insiders can legally sell their shares if they want to. It is this potential that many new shares could hit the market and could cause oversupply, which could cause the stock price to drop a little bit. Another thing that could cause the stock to slip is Palantir's valuation here. So if we look at Palantir's valuation with a market cap here, we are at a nice $56 billion. And we're going to talk about the earnings report soon, and I'll try to explain to you why I think this $56 billion market cap is a little high to me. So, eventually, maybe the lockup expiry and maybe valuation could catch up with the stock to cause the stock to fall. But, this is not a guarantee. Again, you are betting against this tsunami wave of momentum right now. So now let's move on over to the earnings report so that we can see how Palantir is doing as a business and to see if they really deserve this $56 billion valuation here. So here we are in Palantir's most recent earnings report, and as you can see here, this is the most recent quarter ending on September 30th, 2020 here, and this is compared to a year-over-year view with 2019. And as always, we'll start off with the revenues here. And as you can see, we are actually growing quite nicely on the revenue side of things. We see that year over year, we are gaining over $100 million or increasing the revenues by 50% year over year. And this is exactly what I want to see as an investor if I was an investor in Palantir, because it shows that this business is growing and we are getting more money to invest with. However, now let's look at this gross profit here. So this is the amount of money that we're actually capturing from this revenues here. As you can see here, even though we increased revenues by over 50% and $100 million, we are actually only capturing $20 million more year over year. So, doing the math here, in a 3-month period ending on September 30th, 2019, we were able to capture 65% of these revenues here. However, in this most recent year of 2020, we were only able to capture 48% of revenues. This is showing shrinking margins and is not exactly what I want to see in a company that I want to invest in, because it's showing some inefficiencies that's going on in the business. Also, let's look at the explosion of costs here year over year. So if we look down here at this operating expenses block here, we see that total operating expenses are absolutely exploding year over year. So when you see something that's a little surprising here, like to me, this increase of operating expenses is really surprising, you really want to look at the details of what's going on under the hood, which are these 3 portions of the expenses here. So what I'm seeing, comparing year over year, I'm seeing that all of these categories are being increased dramatically year over year. And actually, this increase in research and development year over year is a positive for me. Because Palantir is a data analytics company, they have to spend money to be on the edge of technology every single day. So, this increase in research and development is good for me, because it's showing that Palantir is investing in the business to stay at the edge of technology. However, the other areas of expenses kind of worry me here. This general administrative and the sales and marketing, these increased expenses in these areas are not exactly what I want to see. I've talked a little bit about this general administrative in the past, and these are expenses used for the back office things, like accountants, lawyers, or like team development days at LaserTag. But these expenses aren't really pushing the company forward. They're not making the product better. So as a shareholder, you really don't want to see a lot of increases in this general administrative, because the return on investment that you'll get on research and development is much greater than that you would receive from spending it on general administrative. So even though general administrative is important, I don't really want to see this much increase year over year. Now, the next area of the earnings report that kind of concerns me a little bit is this dilution of shares down here, which you can see in this side of the earnings report. You can see that year over year, we are almost doubling the amount of shares in circulation. So what this means is, basically your share of the company, or your teeny tiny legal right to the company's profits, just got smaller by about half year over year. Again, this is not really what I want to see in companies that I want to invest in. So now that we've talked about the earnings report here and how Palantir is doing as a business, now let's head on over to the trading charts to see if there's a level or two to buy Palantir if we want to buy Palantir. So here we are in Palantir's trading charts here, and as you can see, what a day Palantir had on Friday. This is like a 25% swing from low to high here. So as always, let's first start off with trying to find some support and resistance levels here. And the first thing I noticed is that where we closed on Friday here is at the very top of this resistance level that we made back in November 27th. This is the all-time high, and as you can see, once we hit this all-time high, we corrected sharply back downwards. So, the question now is, will we correct back downwards like we did back in November, or will we plow through and break out to new highs? The answer is, nobody knows, but if I was to guess, because of the strong momentum we are seeing now, I think that the most probable outcome is that we will break through to new highs. And the reason for this is because I think we are in a parabolic and FOMO investor phase here. So, now that I said that we have a resistance level up at this $32, $33 level here, now let's try and find some support levels here. And the first thing I see is this minor support level between this $29, $30, $31 level here, made by these candles, as well as this candle over here. And the next major support level I see here is this $22, $23, $24 level down here, made by these candles, as well as these candles over here. I think that this $24, $22 level support is stronger than this one up here in the $30 to $31 level here. Again, I like paying attention to these levels because these are actual equilibriums where the buyers matched the sellers. Even though past trends don't predict future price action, it has been a trend over the years that investors follow. So, just to summarize, I think if you want to take a little bit more of a risky position to play for the breakout, you could buy around where we are at now, around this $32, $33 level here. But keep in mind, you are buying at the top of this resistance level here. To me, because I'm a little cheap, if I wanted to get into Palantir, I'd probably wait until we get back down into those $30, $31, or even $29 level, because I'm cheap and I'm a little overexposed to risk right now in my portfolio, and buying at the top of this trading range between $23 and $32 here, buying at the very top adds more risk that I don't really want to play with right now. So just to cover the other major indicators here, if we zoom in, we see that on the MACD chart here, our blue line has just crossed over the orange line, which is a positive sign, because what this is telling us here is that our short-term momentum, which is this blue line here, is stronger than our long-term momentum, which is this orange line here. So, because our short-term momentum is stronger than what we are normally seeing, it's a bullish sign that the price action of the stock could continue positively. The next thing I want to point out here is the RSI, or the Relative Strength Index, and as you can see, we had just poked our head above into this overbought range here, which is this 70 level. To me, this is a teeny tiny bit of a bearish sign. This certainly does not mean that the stock will correct down immediately. Just ask GameStop. But it does indicate an overexuberance and overexcitement in the stock, which could mean that if the momentum of the stock stops, then there could be a relatively large correction to follow. So that was my review on Palantir stock. Let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. If you have any questions or if you caught any mistakes, also drop me a comment down below. If you liked the video, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.